Kids used to always make YouTube videos. They'd always say that. Hey, so this is a short video to give you some hints on the take-home exams. I'm going to use an example here, but these hints will apply, and these rules, if you will, to every single problem on both of the take-home exams. Okay, so the first thing you got to do is open up the test. Here's test 3. Okay, very important. Read this cover sheet, but don't include it. Also, look, there says me some stuff. Don't do this. Okay, I ask you, don't include all of the problems. If you're only going to, for example, send me a draft of 1, don't include the empty problems below there. Okay? If you do anything, you won't lose points, but I'm going to send it back to you. Okay, so this, I'm not just trying to be a jerk. It has to do with scrolling on computer screens, and we want to make it as efficient as possible, and we don't want to have to be looking around for the important stuff. Okay, so let's pretend you're going to do 1. Okay, number 1, what you would do is you would copy and paste it into your Word document. I'm just going to make a new one. You name it whatever you want. This is the thing that you're going to send me. Okay, pretend you're sending in a draft. You'd send me this Word doc. Again, don't send me PDFs, as it says. It has to do with formatting. Okay, so the most important thing I can tell you about these take-home tests is read the hints. Some people get nervous and they don't really read them, and they certainly sometimes don't follow them. Okay, so here, I'm saying hint. What kind of variable do you use for a mean? Okay. 2 variables produce means with meaningless numbers, so you don't use an ordinal or a nominal variable, right? Okay. Here, this first question, I'm asking you for which formula to use. Okay, I go hint. If your sample size is greater than 30, use the Z. If it's less than, use the T. I'm going to give you 2 more hints. You're never going to know the population standard deviation. That's this funny symbol right here. So any formula with that is out. Secondly, you're never going to know the capital N or the population size. So any formula with that is out and you can't use it. Remember, I said sample size greater than 30, use the Z table. Here's the Z table. Sample size is less than 30, use the T. Okay, here's one with T, but remember I said capital N is out, right? There's the one you would use, okay? So up there I just say, you would just type, I used formula number 3, or I used formula number 5, okay? The next question, I ask you to create some SPSS and plug some numbers into the first line of that formula I just saw you. Read and do what this says. I literally tell you where to find it. Okay, so you would do that problem. Okay, you'd tell me what the 95% confidence interval estimate is from SPSS. And then I'm always going to ask you for plain English. Okay, but I'm always going to say, cut and paste from my examples. Okay, the easiest thing to use here would be age. Okay, because you'll see why in a second. Okay, so pretend I used age. So this number 1, the lecture that covers that is lecture 16. So I'm saying look for an example. Look, this is, well, I don't want to give you the page number because sometimes it'll change if I change the lecture, but that's just 22. I'm saying what's the mean age of people in prison, right? I do the whole thing. There would be the first line that I'm asking for. You wouldn't have to do this. Okay. Then I say plain English, right? That's what I'm asking you for. Okay, I'm just going to show you why I don't want PDFs. This is a PDF, and it always pastes very strangely, so I apologize. But here we're asking for the plain English. It's worth 10 points, right? You would just paste from my lecture. Sorry about that. Okay, you're not a prison administration, you're just you. So you'd say, I can be 95% that the mean age of the population, you're not using prisoners, you're just going to use your population. So you could get rid of that. Mean age of the population is between, and then these two numbers, as you know, come from SPSS. You'll have to change these. Okay, so I modified that language to fit my variable, which was age, and then you obviously modify it to use your SPSS. Here I'm asking for your assumptions you violate, okay, and I give you a hint. You must look at the assumptions, okay, and then I tell you like things not to say. But I'm saying look at the assumptions at the top of the lecture, okay, so we got to look at lecture 16. Sorry. Just come here, my baby. Here's the assumptions. Okay, so you need a variable appropriate for the mean, interval or ratio. Hint for exam, no student projects, so you don't need to mention that. Data comes from example. Hint for exam, all students violate this, so you'd write I violate random sample. Okay, then if your sample size is less than 30, you need to make an assumption. Okay, but look at this. Remember we just used mean age, right? There's the answer right there. So you would just paste that in there. You'd say, I violate random sample, and then you'd say, I assume age is normally distributed in the population. Note, not mean age, just age. Okay? Boom. That's how you do the test. That's number one. That's the end of this video. So again, cut and paste from my examples in lecture and modify them. Read all of the hints. Not only read them, do what they say. Okay? People get nervous. They don't really read. They just skim, and then they do poorly. But really, this is not rocket science, and it's quite embarrassingly easy if you follow the hints. I promise.